Hello everyone, welcome to Rise of Coding. In this video we will create blog website using React and TypeScript. So before we start, don't forget to subscribe and like the video. I already created a React app, and you can find the start project in the link in the description below. First we will install the dependencies. Inside the main file, we will import the Slick Carousel CSS. Now let's create the header component. We specified that the header component is a React functional component. We need to import the header.css file from the styles folder. And for the JSX, we will return a header with class name of header section. Inside the header, we have a div with class name of header top, and another div with class name of header bottom. Inside the first div we have a div with class name of container. Inside this div, we have a div with class name of header social that have an anchor tag with social media icons. After the div with class name of header social, we have another div with class name of user panel that have an anchor tag for the login and sign up pages. Inside the div with class name of header bottom, we have a div with class name of container. And inside of it we have a div with class name of wrapper. Inside this div, we have a div with class name of logo that have an h1 and p tag. After this div, we have a nav tag with class name of navigation. Inside of it we have our navigation items. Now let's import the header component at the app file. Now let's save and have a look. Now let's create the slider component. We will define this component as a React functional component. Then we will import slider.css file. We will create an array for the slide's images. Then we will import the slide's images from the assets folder. We will use React Slick library to create the slider, so we will first set up the slider settings. Then we will return the slider component that imported from React Slick library, but to avoid the conflict we need to change the component name from slider to slider component. Now we will return the slider component, and we will pass the settings to it. This slider will have a class name of slider. And inside of it, we will map over the slides array, and we return a div that have an image of the slide. Now let's save and import this component to the app file. Now let's save and have a look. The slider is working fine, but we need to add the previous and next arrows. So we will create custom previous arrow function. This function accepts an on-click function as a prop. And the type of this prop is a function that takes no arguments and returns nothing. And inside this function we will return a div, and we will pass the on-click function to it. And inside this div, we will display the left arrow icon. And then we will do the same for the next arrow. Then inside the settings, we will enable the arrows and include the previous and the next arrows. Now let's save and have a look. After creating the slider component, now we will create the home page. First, we will define the type of this component as a React functional component. Then we will import the home.css file. And for the JSX, we will return a div with class name of home section. Inside this div we will have a div with class name of container. And inside of it we will have another div with class name of blogs. Inside this div, we will map over the blogs array at the data file. And we will return a div with class name of blog. Inside this div, we have a header. And inside of it we have a div with class name of date for the blog date. Then we will have an h2 for the blog title. Then we will have a div with class name of tags. Inside this div, we will map over the blog tags. And we will return an anchor tag for each single tag. Then after the header, we will have a div with class name of image for the blog image. And we will have a div with class name of content for the blog content. And then we will have a div with class name of share. Inside this div, we will have a UL, and inside of it we have a label tag. After the label we will map over the blog icons. And we will return a li for each icon. After the UL, we have an anchor tag with class name of read more. And after that we have a div with class name of comments. Now let's save and import this component to the app file. Now let's save and have a look. For the right side of the home page, we need to create articles, so let's create it in separated component. Let's import the articles component at the home page. And we will pass props to it. Since this component will accept some props, so we will define an interface for these props. Then we will define the type of this component as a React functional component that accepts props matching the article's props interface. Then we will receive the title props. For the JSX, we will return a div with class name of articles. Inside of this div we have a div with class name of container. And inside of it we have an h2 with the title prop. After that we have a div with class name of posts. Inside this div, we will map over the articles array at the data file. And we will return a div with class name of post. Inside this div we have a div for the article image. After this div we have a header. And inside of it we have a div for the article date. And after it we have an h3 for the article title. Then we have a div with class name of tags. Inside this div, we will map over the article tags. And we will return an anchor tag for each tag. Finally, let's import the articles.css file. Now let's save and have a look. Now we will create the single blog page. But before that, we need to set up the React Router DOM. So inside the app file, we will import browser router and routes and route from React Router DOM. Then we will return the router component. And inside of it we will return the header component. Then we will add the routes. First we will create a route for the home page. And for the home page we will display the slider component and the home component. Then we will create a route for the single blog page. Then we need to update the home component. We will replace this anchor tag with the link from React Router DOM. And we will pass to it the same path as in the route. Now we will create the single blog component. First we will define the type of this component as a React functional component. And we will import the single blog.css file. We need to get the ID from the current URL by using the use params. Then we will define the type of the ID as a string. Then we will search inside the blogs array for a blog that its ID matches the current ID. Then we will create a function that ensures that when the component is first rendered, the page scrolls to the top. Now we will use the blog variable inside the JSX, so we will return a div with class name of single blog. And inside of it we will have a div with class name of container. And inside this div, we have a div with class name of blog. Inside of it, we have a header with an h2 for the blog title. After the header we have a div with an image tag for the blog image. After this div we have another div with class name of info, with a span for the author name, and another span for the blog date. Then we have a div with class name of content. After this div, we have a div with class name of share. This div have a UL, and inside of it we have a label. After the label we will map over the blog icons. And we will return li for each icon. Finally, after the UL, we will have a div with class name of comments. Now let's save and have a look. Now we need to use the articles component on this side. We will import articles component inside this component. Articles component accept title prop, so we will pass it to it. Now let's save and have a look. Now we display all the articles we have, but we need only to display some of these articles when we are at the single blog page, so we will pass a limit prop to the article component. Then inside the articles component we will receive this limit prop, after we define its type at the interface. And we will set a default value for it. Then we will create a new array of the displayed articles, contain only the provided limit. Then we will map over the displayed articles array, instead of articles array. Now let's save and have a look. Now we only display 3 articles. We have an error happen in the home component. This error happened because the articles component accept now to props, and we only pass one prop to it when we use it inside the home component. To fix this error, we will make the limit prop inside the articles component an optional prop.